Welcome to a pretty overcast day here in Glasgow. The last time I was filming a video, it was about 30 degrees here, the sun was shining, it was really hot that day. Today, not so much. Today's a little bit fresher. But today is not necessarily about taking photos. Today I just wanted to talk about in this video is what I believe is the most important part of photography, and that's the actual process in of itself. I want to talk about more about how I feel like the process and the enjoyment of it, it kind of seems to have been lost a lot of photographers nowadays. People are focusing on it on the wrong thing, and that's where I want to talk about and you'll tell from the title of this video that you should look to enjoy the process, not the end result. But to give you the context of what I mean by that, so photography is a very visually rewarding process. As a photographer, you're capturing a moment, a scene, an event, a feeling, whatever it is. You're actually capturing something and you're getting an image out of it at the very end. And that can be all well and good, but I do believe there is a bit of a threshold and a line that's kind of blurred in a way, and to the point where it's like it's all well and good enjoying the process of getting that photo, to where it gets to the point of many people are now just actually picturing that photo in their head, and they have a clear definition of what it is they want to achieve and what they want to get out of it. And for me, obviously this video, and much like every video I make, is only my personal opinion, but for me that isn't really the correct way to go about photography. To go into depth of what I mean by that is, let's look at the reverse of it. Let's say you're someone who looks to focus and enjoy the end result rather than the process. So say you've gone out there this is a broad example, you've gone out there and you want to capture a sunset. You have it in your mind, you know exactly the kind of photo you want to create, what the image is to look like, what you want the image to look like, I should say, and you have that set in your mind. Now, while I don't think there is anything necessarily wrong with having an idea of what you want to create in photos, not just street photography, could be any sort of photography for that matter, but just in this sense we'll do street photography. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with having an idea of the photos you want to create and the style you want to portray, but I think in the broadest sense you should have an idea of what you want to make, not an actual clear definition of what it is you want to achieve. And by predicating your full enjoyment and your sense of fulfillment in your photography about achieving a definitive final result, that's just putting, for me again, just added pressure on yourself that you have to achieve something. Now, of course, I don't think, again, there's not anything wrong with having a bit of pressure and a bit of a sense of mission, but I don't think photography should really be treated as you have a set aim, a set in stone aim, or a list of objectives and tasks that you have to achieve as part of your process. I think it's more about actually going out there with your broad sense of what you want to do and want to accomplish, and just integrating that into your process itself. Now, to stick with the subject and the topic of if you're someone who focuses on the final result, there was a quote I came across recently by Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw. And I know many of you are probably going to say, oh, here we go, he's trying to get all philosophical on it. So before you cringe, just hear me out for a minute. So what he said was, the quote he said was, there are only two tragedies in life. One is not getting what you want, and the other is getting it. And if we look at these two tragedies, let's take the first one for example, saying like you don't get what you want. Coming back to that example I mentioned earlier about if you're going out there to capture a sunset. Let's say you go out there, you have it in your mind, you want to go out there to capture a beautiful sunset photo with a beautiful orange sky, nice lit clouds and everything like that, everything a classic kind of sunset photo. You go out there, but then all of a sudden, factors completely out with your control, say the weather changes, or you miss the actual sunset event itself, or many other things like that, and you don't get the photo you want. By doing so, or by that happening to you, you're left pretty unfulfilled, you're left very disappointed and very frustrated, and gives you a sense of like your time was almost wasted in a way because you've never achieved what it is you wanted to achieve. And if we look at the second tragedy, that you do actually get what you want, so you go out there and you capture a beautiful sunset photo, that photo may not live up to your unbelievable expectations because you've absolutely tunneled in on the final result. You have that image completely set in stone in your head of what the photo must look like. And by doing so, it's in a way, subconsciously or unsubconsciously, it's kind of telling your mind that you will not be satisfied unless you achieve this absolute result frame for frame. And that can leave you feeling a sense of frustration, a bit of unfulfillment, and a bit of sense that, you know, again, it's like just really kind of like feel like the whole process was not worth it. You feel very unfulfilled at the end of it. And to give you an example of the reverse of this, like say now that I'm saying you should look to enjoy the process, an example I have that in my own case is a couple of years ago I went to the beautiful city of Porto. I'd highly recommend it if you haven't been there. In Porto, very picturesque, very kind of beautiful, almost like say Instagrammable city. There was some great kind of like photos you could get there, like the classic ones. I could get, while I was there, I knew I could get photos like a photo of the cast iron bridge with a tram going across it, which I did. A photo looking down the river with a lovely sunrise or sunset, which I did. And while I was there, one of the best photos I captured, I noticed that in one of the doorways at the train station there was a beautiful strip of light was coming in and people were walking across it. They were creating these really nice long shadows. So I managed to use my 35mm lens and I captured what is not only my favourite photo from that trip, is also one of my favourite photos I've ever took, where there's a guy in a nice suit, maybe off to work or something that morning because it was a weekday, and he's walking across it perfectly and you see the motion of him. You see he's got like 1 foot raised, you see that he's kind of walking across the shot in this nice long shadow. That in itself is one of my favourite photos I took. And yes, alright, a large part of that is because it's visually pleasing, I will admit, but it's also because like I just loved that it was part of the process. I didn't go out there with a set objective. I went out there just to kind of like enjoy the morning, enjoy the golden hour, and I came across a brilliant situation that I managed to photograph, and it was not something that I was expecting. So sometimes a lot of the best photos you take is completely improvised or unplanned. So obviously, look, I'm not trying to come across like I have decades and decades of experience and this is my words of wisdom. Some of you watching this video might have more experience in photography than I have, so please just take my word just for what it's worth. But I believe that if I could just give you one piece of advice, the most important piece of advice based upon my experience, is that you please enjoy the process, not the end result. And not necessarily in the sense that because by chasing the end result sets you up for disappointment, unfulfillment and your frustration. I just believe that by enjoying the process is the correct way of a subjective photography, and subjective art is the way it should be done. It's not about chasing something, it's enjoying the process and enjoying, you know, creating something, enjoying the moment, taking it in and enjoying what is unplanned moments of improvisation and learning the experience. So we'll wrap it up there. Hopefully this video hasn't been too long, I haven't bored you to death with my waffling and rambling. I just wanted to come on here just to take a break from photo walks and taking photos, and just to talk about what I believe has been lost amongst photographers, is by chasing the wrong aspect of photography and just enjoying the process. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far, and we'll catch up again very soon.